I make the drive from Coloway into the Peppermill on a Friday, and I was listening to the latest episode of the Dat Poker Podcast, and the discussion that came up about a player in the World Series of Poker who made a big move with Deuce 3. And apparently, some people are calling it something other than what it should be called.
There's now a beef, though, between Reno and Pittsburgh.
Oh, is there? It's the dirty
because
diaper?
In Pittsburgh they call it the dirty diaper. And apparently this Deuce 3 game, cash game at the Peppermill in Reno, which is their version of the Deuce 7 game, has been around for forever. They call it something different, but they don't call it the dirty diaper. I can't remember the name of what they called it.
No, nobody calls it the dirty diaper. That's freaking stupid. It's called the skinny. It's named after a great man from Northern California who went from 400 pounds to 300 pounds and was therefore known as skinny. And his favorite hand was Deuce 3. Besides, it's just fitting. It just sounds right. Deuce 3, the skinny. It just fits. So I don't want to hear any other nicknames given to that hand. I start off the day with King Queen of Spades, raising it and getting one caller, flopping top pair, but chopping with another who ended up having the exact same hand. Then we get a limp under the gun, and I have 9-7 of hearts in middle position and make it 20. Cutoff calls, and the limper calls. So with 65 in, it comes 9-9-6, 2 clubs, giving me trips. Under the gun checks. I bet 40. The cutoff, min raises to 80. I'm now debating if I should re-raise or call this, but my thinking changes as under the gun makes it 225. I almost folded, but ultimately decided to see another card here, and the cutoff folds pretty quickly after min raising the flop. So with 515 in, the turn is the 4 of clubs, and he now fires $400. I fold my trips, and he does indeed show me ace-9. I then ended up winning most of that money back shortly after when I 3-bet the king-queen of hearts and betting a flush draw. I bet 150 on the turn when I hit a king, but didn't get called then. I pick up ace-king of clubs early position and open 5x. Hijack, cutoff, button, all call. So with 105 in, it comes king 8-9 rainbow. I bet 65. The hijack folds. The cutoff, the tightest player in the game, calls. And the button folds. So with 235 in, the turn is a king. I bet $125 here. And the cutoff jams all in for 800. I didn't love this situation. Could I be good here? I'd think that he'd raise a set on the flop with a player behind him. And I don't think that he'd 3-bet ace-king pre-flop, so he could have it here. But it's obviously a disaster if I fold and he has a hand like king-queen. So, after some deliberation, I decided to call. I also think he will run it twice, and he says that he will. He shows pocket eights for the full house. Pretty much what I feared. He's not the type that's too likely to make this move without the full house in this spot. So I was kind of upset at myself for doing it. And if we're going to win this hand, we're going to need a bigger boat.
You're going to need a bigger boat.
Amazingly, on the first board, a 9 peels off on the river. So we've already locked up half the pot. We don't improve on the second board, so a chop. Interesting how last week we have trip kings with an ace against a full house, but the dude will not run it twice, and we don't improve then. But this week, when we do run it twice, it costs it. Now, if you've been watching this vlog, one thing you know is you basically never see me get money in bad. And now, 2 weeks in a row, I've managed to do it with ace-king. But a chop pot, in this case, I guess, is a win we will take. Then I open 25 in early position with ace, and the cutoff calls. So with 55 in, it comes ace, 4-7, 2 hearts. Usually a very tough spot to get action, but there are several draws out there. I bet 25, and the cutoff makes the call. Turns a king. I bet $50 here, and he thinks about it for a minute and proves that this was an action-killing king if the ace wasn't already action-killing enough, meaning he was almost certainly drawing dead, and he makes the fold. A $10 straddle is on +2, and the hijack calls. I have ace-king in the cutoff and make it 30. I have no idea why I didn't make it more. I really don't. There's no excuse for it. For some reason, I only raised at 30 here. Obviously, both end up calling. So with 95 in, it comes ace 10-9 rainbow. Top pair, top kicker, I bet 40. Plus 2, a very aggressive player, raises me to 125, and the hijack folds. I don't. So with 345 in, the turn is a jack. Now he comes out and fires $245. I didn't like calling, and I didn't like folding. But given that I've added a gut shot, it basically tipped me in the direction of a call here. With 835 in, the river is an 8, and now he checks. In hindsight, I definitely should have considered turning this hand into a bluff with a one-liner out there, but I didn't in this case. I checked back and lost to ace-9 for top and bottom pair on the flop, pretty much exactly what he was representing in this spot. So we've lost half our stack so far. We decided to add on for a hockey puck, which I proceeded to lose a lot of when I paid off local favorite Mr. Z on the river, when he made a polarized bet and I called a top pair, and it turned out he had gone runner flush. Then a hand develops with something that you rarely see in Reno poker. It starts with the doctor opening to 20 and me calling queen 10 of hearts in a four-way pot. With 80 in comes king 10 deuce, 2 hearts for a pair and a flush draw. The doctor in middle position bets out 50, and this is one of the few players that will liberally bet, 3-bet a lot of flops. So I had to be aware of that because I was planning on raising this. And quite honestly, I'd already pretty much decided that unless it was a ridiculously big 3-bet that I was going to call that raise. So I make the raise to $140 here. He thinks about it for about 15 seconds and indeed does bet 3-bet this flop, making it $345. As I told you, my plan was to call. I'm calling. So at 770 in, the turn is a 7 of hearts. And now he just bets out for 200. Obviously, he does not love the heart. And the more I thought about it, chances were that he did not have the ace of hearts in his hand, because if that was the case, chances are he's going to check so he can just call whatever I bet and give him a chance to turn another heart on the river. But I really was not sure how to play this, because he bets 200. I look at my stack, I have 650 left. Now, I did feel that if he had ace-king without the heart, he would fold to this jam all in here. But obviously, if he has aces, kings, or ace-king with a heart, then I want to get this money in right now while I have the best hand. He's going to have a lot of bluffs here also, which should steer me in the direction of just calling and letting him bet the river. But I figured there was a number of ways I could lose this pot on the river, so I thought best just to get the money in right now. I jam it all in, and ultimately, he snap folds his hand. The game was not nearly as good as it typically would be on a Friday night. There were a lot of players in the room that you would want in the game, but there were 3 games with some on the list, and all the good players that you'd want were distributed amongst all of the games. So it wasn't the greatest game, wasn't the greatest lineup. I played a few more small pots that I ended up losing and decided that it wasn't my night, racked up, and booked the loss. All right, that is a $732 loss. I guess I was correct about my prediction that I was due to be on the wrong end of things, and sure enough, I was. Ace-king! What a hand. It always is. Well, just so you know, if you're only here for the poker, then this vlog is over. I fully encourage you not to watch from here on out. But, well, some of you have requested updates along these lines, so I figured I'd give one. Longest week of my life, at least one of them, finally coming to an end today. I turned 37 on Tuesday, and I'm sure I look a hell of a lot older than that now, after what's gone on since then, in addition to just a whole bunch of stuff going on at work that I had to handle work-wise, and a girl named Audrey who's just extremely confusing. I'm officially a single man once again, having settled my divorce case. Had to write an extremely big check, but that's okay, because I was given joint custody of my son. I have him every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, then I drop him off on Thursday. And he's the best thing that's ever happened to me, so it's well worth the money. Problem was, and it's just been killing me ever since. It's that I lost the rights to spend time with my dog Leo, and it wasn't one of those things that I had to have happen. I could have had him part-time, but this number that I had to write this check for was already so big. It's absurdly big, way bigger than it should have been. And knowing that Leo's already going to be 6 years old soon, that I'm going to be living in this condo until next year, and maybe the year after that, hoping it'll only be till next year. And it's not the greatest place for a dog, obviously. And that I really need to save up for a house, given the fact that the Reno housing market is ridiculous. Costs a lot more to live here now than it does in Las Vegas. So I'm going to need all this money to save up because I'm going to buy a house soon. And once my son's older, obviously, he needs his own room. He needs to have the house. So I factored all that in mind of my decision to not have Leo in my life anymore, because it was, I considered it a necessary decision. But man, haven't slept much since thinking about it, and it's killing me. I just freaking love that dog. He was unbelievable, and I can guarantee you the best days of his life, if he could talk, he would tell you were spent with me, because I was the only one that ever walked him. But I can take solace in the fact that he still gets to spend a lot of time with my son Austin, who's going to be 2 in January. So as long as he's there taking care of Austin, then, you know, I'm a happy man. And I'll try and look at this money that I lost in the divorce as just like a downswing at poker. And if there's one thing that's always proven true with regards to me and poker downswings, and this should be no exception, I always get it fucking back.